Hello, listeners. Welcome back to a new episode of our podcast. I am Ethan Clark. Today, we'll explore the new dietary guidelines recently released. In early 2026, the Trump administration made headlines with a bold overhaul of America's approach to eating, unveiling the Dietary Guidelines for Americans 2025-2030 on January 7. Spearheaded by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., and Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, this update marked what officials described as the most significant reset of federal nutrition policy in decades, shifting the focus squarely onto real food as the cornerstone of health. The guidelines, available at realfood.gov, introduced an inverted food pyramid that prioritizes high-quality proteins, healthy fats, dairy, vegetables, fruits, and whole grains, while urging Americans to avoid highly processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and added sugars. This move came amid President Trump's Make America Healthy Again initiative, which aimed to combat chronic diseases by restoring common sense and scientific integrity to dietary advice, a practice critics argued had long been influenced by corporate interests. Narrating the evolution of these guidelines reveals a tale of controversy and change. For years, previous iterations had emphasized low-fat options and carbohydrates, but this edition flips the script, endorsing full-fat dairy and a variety of proteins from animal sources like red meat, poultry, eggs, and seafood, alongside plant-based options such as beans and nuts. The narrative begins with the administration's rejection of what they called ideologically biased elements from the prior Biden-era advisory committee, replacing them with a new panel to ensure recommendations centered on health outcomes rather than health equity. Key directives include avoiding sugar-sweetened beverages, limiting added sugars entirely for children under 4, and incorporating healthy fats from sources like avocados, olives, and omega-3 rich fish. These changes will influence everything from school lunches and military meals to SNAP programs, potentially requiring retailers to stock more staple whole foods. As the story unfolds, the benefits of these guidelines become clear, offering a refreshing emphasis on nutrient-dense, whole foods, which many experts applaud for aligning with evidence linking ultra-processed foods to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. By prioritizing protein in every meal, the guidelines support muscle health, satiety, and metabolic function, which could help Americans manage weight and energy levels more effectively. The strict stance against added sugars, especially for young children, is widely hailed as a vital step in preventing early-onset health issues, with no tolerance for non-nutritive sweeteners. Ending the so-called war on healthy fats allows for fuller-fat dairy and natural fat sources, backed by recent studies suggesting they don't inherently raise heart disease risk when part of a balanced diet. Consistency with prior advice to consume at least 3 servings of vegetables and 2 of fruits daily reinforces the proven benefits of vitamins, fiber, and overall wellness. Moreover, the customizable framework accommodates diverse preferences and budgets, from fresh produce to canned or frozen options, making healthy eating more accessible and practical for families across socioeconomic lines. This real food-first approach is seen as a common-sense pivot that could empower individuals to reclaim control over their health, potentially reducing reliance on pharmaceuticals and boosting national productivity. Yet as the narrative deepens, drawbacks emerge, drawing sharp criticism from nutritionists, environmentalists, and public health advocates who argue that the guidelines sow confusion and prioritize industry interests over sound science. The heavy promotion of animal proteins, such as red meat and full-fat dairy, contradicts the advisory committee's emphasis on plant-based options to reduce cardiovascular risk, potentially undermining the retained limit on saturated fats to under 10% of calories. Critics highlight environmental harms, noting that beef production drives significant greenhouse gas emissions and resource strain, clashing with sustainability goals. Revelations of financial ties between the review panel and the beef and dairy industries fuel accusations of bias, especially given the administration's past condemnations of similar conflicts in prior guidelines. The elimination of specific alcohol recommendations is flagged as concerning, ignoring evidence of health risks from even moderate drinking. Parents and experts decry the protein-centric advice as unrealistic for average households, laden with high cholesterol and fats that could exacerbate heart disease in vulnerable populations. Lack of transparency in the methodology, deviating from the rigorous two-year scientific review without a clear rationale, raises alarms about political interference over evidence-based policy. The sugar industry's opposition underscores potential overregulation, arguing it could lead to unwanted chemical additives in food. Ultimately, this chapter in America's nutritional saga leaves a divided landscape, where the push for real food inspires hope, but risks alienating those seeking balanced, unbiased guidance amid ongoing debates over diet's role in personal and planetary health. This is all for this episode. Be sure to connect with us for future informative and exciting episodes. Thanks for listening.